Okay, in today's video, we are going to take a look at a price prediction from large language models, from Grok and ChatGPT, and compare and contrast what their predictions say about the future of Avalanche or AVAX. So just a quick briefing on Avalanche or AVAX. It's a decentralized smart contract platform. It was developed by Ava Labs and designed to support highly scalable blockchain applications and custom blockchains. It aims to offer high throughput and low latency while maintaining decentralization and security. Founders include Dr. Emin Gün Sirer, a Cornell University professor and longtime researcher in distributed systems and blockchain. The token itself, the native token, is AVAX, and it's used for paying transactions, fees, staking, and securing the network. The maximum token supply of AVAX is capped at 720 million tokens. As of now, a significant portion is already in circulation, with the rest gradually released throughout staking, rewards, and other incentives. So taking a look at just kind of the graph here, the previous all-time high of AVAX was in the run-up in November of 2021, where AVAX hit $146. So that was about 3 or 4 years ago. So we're going to take a look at what Grok and what ChatGPT say about the future of the market. If we see this continuation of the bull run, if Bitcoin were to peak, or reach significantly higher levels, and if we do see an altcoin season, what that looks like for Avalanche. So taking a look at what Grok said. So I'm going to go up and show you kind of what I plugged in for the prompt here. So based on historical price data, market sentiment, and technical indicators, RSI, MACD, moving averages, provide a hypothetical price range for a peak price for AVAX, Avalanche, by the end of 2025 or 2026. Include bullish and bearish scenarios explaining the factors influencing your analysis. Of course, before we get down into some of the answers here, I should say that this is all speculative. Grok and ChatGPT are not predictive. They, of course, are aggregating sentiment across the web, across X accounts, looking at different data and kind of formulating their robot opinion about what could potentially happen to these markets. So keep that in mind. Of course, do your own research. But so it talks about the old all-time high here, and then the old all-time low dropped to 85 cents back in September of 2020. Just to kind of break down some historical price data. I'm not going to read all this. It crunched some technical indicators, looked at the moving averages, saying that AVAX is currently below its exponential moving averages on the daily chart, indicating a bearish signal in the short term. However, AVAX has broken above the 50-day moving average on some charts with potential to test higher. Then it kind of breaks down market sentiment. Like I said, looking at recent X posts, reflecting optimism, some bearish sentiment as well. Some X posts are suggesting short-term correction. So they're just kind of like pulling from user sentiment on these social media platforms. So let's take a look and see if we can actually see some price. So it breaks down a bullish scenario. Hypothetical bullish scenario, price range between $55 and $80. Again, should mention currently Avalanche is sitting at $25.42. So they're predicting by the end of 2025 a peak price of $80. In a bearish scenario, Grok is looking at a price range of $15 to $25 with a peak price of $25, which is not super accurate. That's what the price is right now. So it's not, if this is the peak for Avalanche, that's pretty grim, I would say. So that doesn't seem like very logical even for an estimation. So then looking at by the end of 2026 in a bullish scenario, price range could look like $96 through $150, peak price being $150. It offers a rationale for this. And then in the bearish scenario, price range between 12 and 33 with a peak price of 33. And then just kind of the conclusion. That's the ranges we're looking at. So let's talk about peaks. We want to see, the idea of this video series is to look at what could the potential peak be. So in a bullish scenario, $80 in 2025 up to potentially $150 in 2026. So let's call it 150. That's kind of the peak that they're calling for. Regardless of when this alt season may or may not come and when that peak may come, whether it's, Q3, Q4 of 2025, or if it happens Q1 or Q2 of 2026, looking at a peak of 150. So that's Grok's answer. And then taking a look over at ChatGPT with the same prompt, The AVAX overview, current price $26, all-time high $146. Talks about the supply and the current circulating supply. I like how ChatGPT breaks this down a little bit clearer. It's kind of easier to read over here. So ChatGPT gives its bullish scenario, forecasted $90 to $140. A neutral base case would be between $40 and $70, and then in a bearish scenario between $15 and $30. This is, and it gives the key drivers and what may create these different scenarios. In the bearish scenario, if Bitcoin retraces to sub 50,000 levels, that's what could cause this bearish scenario. And then ChatGPT also crunched out a $1,000 investment hypothetical scenario. So assuming you were to purchase $1,000 of AVAX right now at $26, what would that look like in each of these bearish, base, or bullish scenarios? So in the bearish case, that $1,000 would turn to $770. In the base case, if AVAX gets up to $50, you would make a profit of about $920. And in the bullish scenario, if you invested $1,000 now, you could make potentially, or that $1,000 would turn into $4,615. So, and then it also breaks down kind of a final takeaway here. Avalanche performance will heavily depend on broader market cycles, subnet adoption, narrative strength compared to Ethereum's rollups in Solana, development activity, and real-world utility. So kind of comparing the two price predictions here and averaging them out. I crunched some of these numbers here earlier, and it looks like between the two, the average price that these large language models are predicting is $82.50 as a peak for Avalanche. So, of course, that is not predictive. This is not financial advice. Please, of course, do your own research. Take a look at these charts, crunch the numbers, and use your own risk model. Take profits if you do have profits. These are just things that you can kind of play around with to get an idea of what prices might look like for you and your Avalanche bags. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to do a full series on a bunch of different coins on Grok versus ChatGPT. So check those out. Please do subscribe. I appreciate that a lot. And see you in the next one. Peace out.